He came from the sky, not like a hero, but like a warning. No one saw him coming. There was no alarm, no worship, no army, just one light in the sky, falling fast, a silent flame cutting through the stars. Above the jungle planet Ryan, the night had been calm. The stars were bright. Children slept. Elders sang songs about peace. Then the fire came. It split the sky in half. Birds scattered. Trees shook. The ground rumbled like thunder was trapped below. And then the crash. Booming. Endless. The air turned red. The villagers ran to the hills. They thought it was a meteor, a cursed sign. But hidden behind jagged rocks, a young alien girl named Zila waited. She was not afraid. She was curious. She watched. From the flames, a shape moved. Bent. Slow. Alive. It was a man. A human. But that was impossible. Humans were ghosts. Myths. Burned from history. Yet he was here. He stepped out of the smoke, dressed in black robes. He did not carry weapons. He did not call for help. He did not even look scared. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head. Then, he began to pray. But this was no holy prayer. It was something else. His words were soft, but the world listened. The jungle fell silent. The stars dimmed. Zila felt something cold press against her heart, like time itself was holding its breath. He placed his hand on the ground. The earth answered. Cracks spread. The soil opened. And from deep below something screamed. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't alive. It was the scream of a memory, a soul, a warning. He wasn't just a man. He was a shadow walking through forgotten stories. The jungle whispered behind him. Every step the human priest took, the plants bent away, as if they feared touching him. Zila followed from far behind, quiet, careful, afraid, but not enough to stop. She had seen him fall from the sky. She had heard the ghost scream from the earth. Now she needed to know more. The priest walked with no map, no light, yet he moved like he had been here before, like his feet remembered a path older than time. Hours passed. He reached a place no alien dared to enter. A place spoken only in broken stories, the temple of the First War. Its gates were made of stone and bone. Carvings of alien faces twisted in pain covered the walls. Some were old. Others looked freshly marked. This place was forbidden. Not because it was dangerous, because it held truth. The priest stood at the entrance. He didn't knock. He didn't wait. He walked inside. Zila held her breath and followed. The air changed. Inside it was cold, heavy. The walls glowed faintly with blue runes. The deeper he walked, the more the light dimmed. Then he stopped. A large altar sat in the middle of the room, cracked, burned, forgotten. On top of it was a relic, a simple box, black, smooth, humming with quiet power. The priest whispered something in an old human language. The relic answered with light. He placed both hands on it. His eyes closed. The temple shook. A rush of wind blew through the corridors, but there were no windows, no doors, just walls and secrets. Zila crouched behind a broken pillar, staring in silence. The priest's voice grew louder, not angry, not sad, but full of something deep, like the voice of a judge at the end of time. I remember what they did. I remember the lies. I remember the fire. His words lit up the runes. The whole temple came alive. Suddenly, images floated in the air. Ghostly pictures. Holograms of history. She saw it. The war. The priest stood with other humans, dressed in armor, holding staff weapons and prayer books. Behind them were alien children, afraid, hiding. Alien soldiers stormed the halls, burning everything, killing priests, smashing temples. But one priest survived. This one. Zila's heart raced. The relic flashed, showing a final message burned into its core. They promised peace. They gave us graves. The priest opened his eyes. He turned his head slowly. I know you're there, he said. Zila froze. Her breath caught in her throat. I won't hurt you, he added. You're still young. You haven't lied yet. She stepped out, eyes wide. You knew this place? He nodded. I lived here, before your people wiped my name from stone. Her voice shook. Why come back now? He stared at the relic, then whispered. To wake what they tried to bury. Truth doesn't die. It waits. Outside, deep in the clouds, a satellite blinked. The alien council was watching. Inside a secret chamber far away, alien leaders stood in silence. He's alive, one of them said. Another trembled. After all these years, the last priest returns. A third voice spoke, cold and sharp. Send a hunter. Back at the temple, Zila asked, What are you? He looked at her, not with anger, but with something older, grief. I'm the last voice of a silenced world. And then the relic pulsed. From deep inside the temple, something opened. A hidden door. Behind it, a stairway, going down, very far down. He picked up the relic and started walking into the dark. Zila stood frozen. Should she run? Should she follow? Her mind screamed no, but her heart stepped forward. Some memories are not seen. They are survived. The stairway whispered as they walked. Zila had never been this deep underground. The walls were smooth, carved by hands that no longer lived. The air was cold, not because of the stone, but because of what still lingered here. The human priest said nothing. He moved slowly, like each step carried a story. His black robe brushed against the walls, waking dust that hadn't moved in 1,000 years. Zila followed, quiet, heart pounding. She didn't know why she trusted him. Maybe because he didn't try to stop her. Maybe because the lies of her people were starting to fall apart. They reached the bottom. The chamber was round, wide, and hollow, like a wound under the world. In the center stood a metal chair. Straps hung from it. Around it were screens covered in ancient language. Is this a weapon? Zila asked. The priest shook his head. No, he said. It's a memory cradle. He turned toward her. His voice was calm, but heavy. Do you want to know what really happened? Zila's breath caught. She wasn't sure, but she nodded. The priest raised his hand. Before she could move, light poured from his fingers. Soft, golden, silent. It touched her forehead gently, and suddenly, she wasn't there anymore. She was in another body, small, weak, a child, running. Flames burned all around. Screams filled the air, human screams. Soldiers in alien armor, her people's armor, kicked in doors. They pulled human priests into the streets. They didn't ask questions. They just fired. She saw children crying, hiding behind books and candles. She saw temples destroyed, holy places turned into graves. Then one image froze her. A young human boy, barely older than she was, stood holding a prayer charm. He begged for mercy. The alien soldier raised his gun. Zila wanted to scream, to stop it, but it already happened. The boy fell. His blood spread like spilled ink. Zila gasped. Her eyes flew open. She was back in the chamber, shaking, pale. The priest stood beside her. He had not moved. You showed me lies, she said, angry, afraid. He looked into her soul. No, he said. I showed you the truth they hid. She stepped back. My people, we're not. He stopped her with a look. Your people are not evil, but your leaders chose silence over shame. He turned to the cradle. I was their record keeper, a guardian of memory. That's why they feared me. Zila's knees felt weak. How are you still alive? She asked. He looked at the walls. Because I swore an oath to the last council of Earth. When they forget, I will remind them, even if I must walk alone. Suddenly, the chamber's lights flickered. The screens came to life. Red warning signs blinked. They found us, he whispered. Far above, in the black sky, a sleek ship moved like a knife through clouds. Inside sat a tall alien, cold eyes, sharp voice. A bounty hunter. He looked at the glowing screen. Target locked, human priest detected. He smiled. Time to finish what history started. Back below, the priest placed his hand on the cradle. The metal hummed. "What are you doing?" Zila asked. "Waking the next memory," he said. "But you just showed me the truth." He looked at her, and for the first time she saw pain in his eyes. "That was only the beginning. Now you must see what they did after." The lights turned blue. The cradle glowed. Zila closed her eyes. The nightmare was not over. It was just getting started. In dark rooms with bright lights, the most dangerous lies are whispered as truth. Far away, beyond the stars, on a cold gray moon hidden from maps, a meeting began. 12 chairs, 12 voices, no names, only masks. This was the Shadow Council, rulers of the hidden empire, the true hands behind the peace and the silence. Their faces were not seen, but their power was felt across galaxies. One screen on the wall glowed red. The message was short. "Human priest detected. El Ryan sector." The room went still. One council member spoke first, old, bitter, afraid. "Impossible. They were all destroyed." Another replied, his voice sharp like glass. "No. We destroyed their cities. But not all their voices." They all turned to the highest chair, a tall figure wrapped in silver cloth. No one ever saw his face. He tapped his fingers once. A silent command. The screen changed. A blurry image appeared. The priest in black robes, standing in the ruins, holding a glowing relic. The council watched in silence. Then, the leader spoke. He returned. On El Ryan, in the deep temple, the priest and Zila stood before the memory cradle. It had shown her too much. She had seen her people's hands stained with human blood. She had seen cities fall, books burn, children vanish into fire. But the worst part? She felt it. She remembered it. As if the pain wasn't just history. It was hers. She sat against the wall, shaking. "I didn't know," she whispered. The priest looked at her with tired eyes. "They never wanted you to." Above the jungle, the bounty hunter's ship hovered like a hawk, ready to strike. Inside, he loaded his weapon, a plasma spear. Ancient tech made for one thing, killing priests. He opened his logbook. Mission: terminate last human priest. No witnesses, no records, no remains. He smiled. He used to believe priests were monsters, until one saved him. But the council paid well. Too well. He closed the book and activated his cloak. In the temple, Zila stood again. "Why didn't you fight back?" she asked. "When they came." The priest looked at his hands. "I did," he said, "but not with guns. With memory. With truth." He turned to a wall covered in vines. With a wave of his hand, the vines burned away, revealing another door. Older. Locked by prayer code. He placed the relic inside the slot. The door clicked. Opened. Inside was a circular room, with symbols glowing on the floor. In the center stood a tower of crystal, humming like a heart. "The Judgment Core," he said. Zila stepped back. "That's real." The priest nodded. "It doesn't kill. It reveals. It speaks to the minds of leaders, and shows them their own crimes." Zila whispered, "That's why they fear you." He looked at her, and for the first time, a small spark of sadness crossed his face. "No, that's why they want me gone." Back on the moon, the Shadow Council watched the feed go dark. The bounty hunter was in place. One member leaned forward. "If he activates the Judgment Core, we lose everything." Another added, "The girl, she knows too much." The leader gave one silent nod. "Kill them both." As the sun began to rise over El Ryan's jungle, light touched the broken trees. And in the heart of a dead temple, a human priest stood before the core, ready to awaken history. He turned to Zila. "You can still leave," he said. "You're young. They'll forgive you." She looked at him, then at the relic, then at the light growing stronger behind the door. "No," she said. "If I leave now, I help them lie again." The priest said nothing. He just placed a hand on the core. It began to glow. Far above, the bounty hunter locked his weapon. He aimed. The final hunt had begun. Some altars are built for worship. Others are built for warnings. The Judgment Core began to hum. It wasn't loud, but the sound crawled into the bones. It felt like something old was waking up, something that had seen too much and forgiven nothing. The human priest stood still, hand pressed against the glowing crystal, eyes closed, lips moving in slow whispers, words not meant for the living. Zila stood behind him, heart pounding. She wanted to run. Her body screamed to escape, but her soul stood still, because she knew what was coming. This wasn't just memory. This was reckoning. Far above the planet, the bounty hunter descended. His ship sliced through the jungle like a ghost. No alarms, no warnings, just silence. He activated his armor. Black plates wrapped around him like liquid steel. His plasma spear glowed blue. He was ready. Back inside the temple, the light of the judgment core reached the ceiling. Strange symbols danced on the walls, flickering between truth and pain. Then a sound. Metal clashing. A door burst open. Guards. Alien elites. Weapons ready. The priest stepped back. "Stay behind me," he said to Zila. They raised their rifles. "Human priest," one shouted. "You are under arrest for war crimes, trespassing, and forbidden memory access." The priest didn't flinch. "You forgot one." The guards hesitated. "You also buried the past." The guards fired. Blasts of blue light hit the ground. But none touched him. The air around the priest bent, like time itself refused to harm him. He walked through the shots, calm, silent. Then, the relic on his chest flared, and the guns melted, not exploded, melted. The guards dropped their weapons and screamed. Their hands burned. One tried to run. The door slammed shut on its own. Behind a shadowed pillar, the bounty hunter watched it all. He saw the priest. He saw the girl. He remembered another day, another battle, when he lay dying on a frozen moon, and a human priest had saved him. "You have a choice," the priest had said back then. "Bury the truth, or carry it." Now he was here, and the same priest stood before him, older, stronger, alone. He raised his spear, and fired. The shot hit the priest in the shoulder. He fell. The relic cracked. The core dimmed. Zila screamed. She ran to him. Blood spilled on the temple floor. Black-red, slow, sacred. The priest looked at her with pain in his eyes. "It's all right," he whispered. "They always fear the light before it reaches them." She held his hand. "Don't die." He smiled just a little. "Not yet." The bounty hunter stepped forward. His mask shifted. She saw his face. He looked human, but not fully. "Why?" Zila asked. He didn't answer, just lowered his weapon. "He saved me once," the hunter said. "But this time, I have orders. You don't have to follow them," she whispered. He looked at the bleeding priest, then at the judgment core. He stepped back. "I'll give you 5 minutes." Then he vanished into the shadows. Zila turned to the priest. "You can't activate it now," she said. "You're hurt." He shook his head. "It doesn't need me to work. It needs a witness." He pointed to her. "You." Her hands shook. "I'm not ready." "Yes," he said, coughing blood. "You are." She stood before the core. Pulsed. It opened, and light poured out. Not hot, not blinding, but pure. It entered her eyes, her skin, her soul, and she saw everything. All the lies, all the names, all the hands that signed death behind golden doors. The council, the cleansing, the false peace, and behind it all, the same symbol burned across every page. A single eye watching, waiting, wanting silence. When the light faded, she fell to her knees. Tears fell, but they were not from sadness. They were from clarity. "Now I know," she whispered. "Now I see." Behind her, the priest's hand touched the altar one last time. "Then my work is done." And he collapsed. The loudest wars are not fought with weapons. They are fought in silence, between duty and truth. The temple was quiet now. Too quiet. The judgment core still pulsed softly in the dark, but the glow was fading, like it had spoken its truth and needed to rest. Zila knelt beside the priest. His robe was soaked in blood. His chest moved slow. His eyes were closed. For a moment, she thought he was gone. Then he spoke, barely a whisper. "Did you see it?" Zila nodded. Tears ran down her cheeks. "They lied about everything." The priest gave a small, tired smile. "Now you understand." Outside, the jungle swayed. Ships hovered above the trees. Engines hummed. The council's forces had arrived. Hundreds of soldiers, trained, armed, ready to erase history. In the lead ship, a general tapped his helmet. "The girl is with him. No survivors." Back inside the temple, Zila stood slowly. She wiped her face, picked up the broken relic, and placed it in her bag. The priest looked up at her, weak but proud. "You can run," he whispered. "They'll chase you." She shook her head. "Let them." The bounty hunter reappeared, stepping from the shadows like a ghost. His weapon was still in his hand, but it wasn't pointed at her. He looked at the priest, then at Zila. "You saw it, didn't you?" She nodded. "Then you understand why they want it buried." Her voice was calm now, stronger. "They're not scared of the truth. They're scared of us remembering it." Outside, soldiers formed lines. They prepared to storm the temple. Inside, the priest tried to sit up. "There's still one memory left." Zila turned to him. "I can't carry it." He touched her hand. "You don't have to carry it alone." The bounty hunter stepped forward. "I'll hold the gates," he said. Zila blinked. "Why help us?" He looked at the priest. "Because once I forgot who I was." He reminded me. The walls shook. Explosions above. Dust rained down. The priest closed his eyes and whispered, "It's time." Zila stepped into the center of the core room. She raised the relic. Light burst from it. Not bright, but pure. It scanned her face, then her mind. Memories began to upload. But this time not from the past. From her. Her voice. Her witness. Her truth. A message to the stars, to every world that believed the council's version of history. "My name is Zila of Ale Ryan," she said aloud. "And I saw the last priest bleed for peace. I saw the truth they buried. And I choose to remember." Above, in the sky, the council's fleet picked up a signal. It wasn't a call for help. It was a confession. A live feed. Unstoppable. Unfiltered. And across 100 worlds, people started to watch. The council panicked. Leaders screamed in secret rooms. "Cut the feed. Shut it down. Burn the temples. Silence the names." But it was too late. The truth was flying faster than any ship. Inside the temple, the walls cracked. The bounty hunter fought at the entrance. His spear glowed red. He blocked blasts, dodged fire, bought time. One last stand, not for credits but for truth. He shouted back at Zila. "Go! Take him and run!" She looked at the priest. He was fading. She picked him up, slowly, carefully. The relic buzzed in her hand. Behind her, the temple began to fall. Stone crumbled. Fire rose. But the light from the judgment core kept glowing. Even as the world around it fell apart. She ran into the jungle, carrying a man who once carried the memory of a lost world. Now she carried it too. The dead don't rise to haunt the living. They rise to remind them. The jungle burned behind her. Ash rained from the sky like gray snow. Zila ran with the priest in her arms, stumbling, bleeding, breath short. But she didn't stop. He was getting colder, his pulse weaker. The Judgment Core's relic still pulsed in her bag. Faint but alive. Like hope, like memory, like truth. Across the galaxy, screens flickered. Feeds were hijacked. Broadcasts interrupted. And suddenly everyone saw her. A young alien girl, running through fire, carrying a dying human priest. And a voice echoed. Not from her mouth, but from the relic. "This is not a war story. This is a warning." In the council's hidden halls, fear spread like poison. Not fear of armies. Not fear of weapons. Fear of the story now told. "They're watching," one elder said. "Then they must forget again," replied another. They activated the protocol of silence. the erasure sequence used once before to wipe human history. This time, it wouldn't be so easy. Back on Al Ryan, Zila reached a hidden valley. A temple long dead, once home to the first priests, now covered in moss cracked by time. She laid the priest on the steps. His eyes fluttered open. "Did they see it?" he whispered. Zila nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, everywhere." He exhaled slowly, a deep, peaceful breath. "Then I've done what I came to do." The relic blinked. One final message left inside. "Play it," he said. She held it up. A beam of light shot into the air, and from it, they came. Figures, dozens, hundreds, ghosts, the memories of the murdered. They stood tall, priests, children, healers, teachers. Their eyes were made of light, their faces full of sorrow and fire. One ghost stepped forward, a woman with silver robes and a staff. She looked at Zila. "You carry the story now." Then to the priest, "Your light reached us, brother. We rise not for revenge, but for justice." All over the galaxy, people watched in silence. Some wept, some screamed, some dropped to their knees, ashamed of what they believed. The truth was out. On the moon where the council sat, doors blew open. Ghosts walked in, not to kill, not to fight, but to speak. And as the dead began to tell their truth, the council fell apart. Some ran, some begged, others simply sat in silence. Because in the end, it wasn't war they feared. It was the truth with a witness. Back on Al Ryan, the priest's voice faded. His final words were soft. "Promise me, you'll remember." Zila held his hand tight. "I'll do more than remember. I'll make sure they never forget." His fingers relaxed. His chest went still. The last priest was gone, but not silent, because across worlds his story lived. In temples, in books, in whispers, in songs, and most of all, in her. Years later, a group of alien children sat in a circle. A young woman stood before them, tall, calm, dressed in dark robes, a silver relic around her neck. She opened a book with shaking hands. The title read, "We Remember, the Last Priest and the Light of Judgment." One child asked, "Was he real?" She smiled. "He was real. He was every lie they tried to bury, and every truth we chose to carry." Somewhere deep in the stars, the relic blinked one last time, and then it went still.